Thank you very much, Andy, and it's nice to be with you at this World Energy Forum and to have the opportunity to welcome you this morning. Andy, thank you for that kind introduction, and to Dr. O, thank you for your leadership of the World Energy Forum, and to Ambassador Wahidullah, thank you for your support and your friendship. Welcome. You know, I served 12 years as the governor of this great state, and I assume we have some New Yorkers here as well as people from around the globe. And during that 12-year period, I understood early on the significance of energy and the importance at the same time of looking to the future and concerns about our environment. And you look around today outside, and it is the most magnificent of days. And we wonder what impact human activity over the course of the next decade or generation might have that could negatively impact that. Andy was talking about what I did, Governor. I want to mention a few things I did since I was governor, because this has been an area since that time where I probably devoted more attention on both the private side and the public side. I went with a great global law firm based here in New York called Chadbourne & Park, in large part because they have one of the most, if not the most advanced practices globally in green energy and renewable energy, and are also very active in infrastructure. And that has been my area of practice, energy and infrastructure, not just here in the U.S., but around the globe. But equally important, they have let me do other things. Andy talked about how in 2007 I was the U.S. public delegate to the General Assembly. And it was just a tremendous experience, Ambassador. That's where I got to meet you, serving as the official U.S. representative for the General Assembly, which will be convening in about 2 or 3 weeks. And at that time, we understood the importance of climate change and the UN's role in dealing with that. After serving there, I became the co-chairman of the Council on Foreign Relations Task Force on Climate Change, where I worked with Governor Vilsack, who is now Secretary of Agriculture for the U.S., and distinguished leaders from around the country, coming up with a plan for the United States dealing with the foreign policy aspects of climate change as opposed to the domestic issues in the United States. So this is an area that I feel very passionate about, I continue to be involved in, and I welcome the opportunity to speak for a few minutes this morning. Why? Why am I so interested in energy? Let me tell you, there are 3 major issues facing the globe and my country today. One is, of course, the economy. We are all concerned with the global recession, the loss of jobs, the lack of the normal confidence in the economic future of our countries and the globe. And I have no doubt that one of the major reasons for this is over-reliance on unstable, inexpensive, and often polluting sources of energy. The UN did a report a few years ago that found 1.6 billion people in the globe have no access to electricity at all. Imagine, first of all, the economic consequences of that. And then imagine the economic consequences to my country when at one point we are sending $750 billion overseas for oil that at the end of the day does nothing but pollute and demand that you have more the next day. It's not just a U.S. issue. Many, many developing countries see more than 30% of their total national budget spent trying to access foreign sources of energy. So it is an enormous and economic concern to the globe. And to the extent we can move beyond where we are today in energy, we can help unleash economic opportunities in every corner of the globe. The second, of course, is because of the disparity in energy resources, is the global security impact. It is something where there are enormous tensions, Iran being a classic example today, where the UN consistently passes sanctions to try to deter Iran from developing nuclear weapons or nuclear capability, and at the same time, Iran's ability to provide significant sources of oil to the global economy in many aspects make those sanctions less successful than we would like to see. So that there is a global and national security implication to energy, as there is in, I believe, no other area of economic interest. And finally is the environment. because we know that over-reliance on traditional fossil fuels, not utilizing the best technologies available today, results in carbon emissions, it results in climate change, it results in deforestation of areas that are critical for the ecological balance of the globe. We must take significant action, as of course the UN has recommended and at Bali and will be continuing to push in the upcoming year. So think about it: energy, economic development, global political security, environmental opportunities to stop degradation and in fact clean the planet. All of them come together in only one area, and that is energy, which is why I've been so passionate about it. Now let me just talk briefly. I know you've had some discussions and you have great panels and moderators and leaders about traditional sources of energy versus new. Some saying we need to rely on the traditional sources. Others say we need to move to the new technologies. My answer is we have to do both. When you have 1.6 billion people with no electricity, when you have a hope for global economic advancement, as well as humanitarian improvement and quality of life, you have to rely on expanded uses of energy, even with conservation and efficiency measures that will be taken. So, yes, we have to dramatically increase new sources of energy, but we also have to develop ways for, as an example, carbon capture and sequestration, where we can continue to use coal, but do it in a way that it's clean and consistent with our environmental goals for a cleaner planet. Let me just talk about two broad strategies, and then Andy had said maybe we could have a few questions. I don't want to delay the program, but I think you need both global strategies and sub-global strategies, both aimed at helping our countries, but also meeting the Millennium Development Goals. The UN, as you know, at the end of the last millennium, at the beginning of this millennium, set out the Millennium Development Goals, one of which is to end hunger and extreme poverty. That is something that every single member of the human race should care very passionately about, and something we should strive to achieve. At the same time that 1.6 billion people, the UN has found, have no access to electricity, 2.4 billion people have no access to modern fuel. They rely for cooking, for heating, for light on local sources of energy, biomass, wood, dung, that they burn in their homes, creating enormous health and environmental hazards. At the national level, I think we need to develop strategies first that empower the new technologies. If we are capable, and there's no reason why we cannot make wind power, solar power, biomass power, geothermal power, hydropower economically competitive by developing the next generation of technologies, then we will allow for the end of the the differences in energy resources that countries have. You take a look at a country like Jamaica. 35% of its budget is spent, its national budget is spent buying diesel fuel to generate electricity on that island. Enormous wind resources, enormous solar resources, enormous hydropower resources. If we can work together as a global entity with the UN taking the lead on this, Jamaica could, like Brazil, become energy independent with tremendous benefits geopolitically, to their economy, and to the global environment.